The coronavirus pandemic has affected everyone's day-to-day lives differently. But for children, one of the most important things to do is to make sure they get the right amount of sleep, even as their daily schedules change. Now, here with me is Dr. Ramon Cuevas, a pediatric neurologist and sleep specialist with the Rocky Mountain Hospital for Children. So, doctor, tell us, why is it so important for children to stick to a sleep schedule?
I think it's important because I've been seeing, well, let me sort of preface this by saying that I've seen a lot of kids these past couple of months since the onset of the pandemic, and a lot of kids are being affected by just having poor sleep. They're sleeping in much later. They're waking up earlier much later in the morning time. Some are getting too much sleep. Some are not getting enough sleep. Their sleep is disrupted, and as a consequence of that, a lot of kids are not only perhaps sleepy during the course of the day. Some are more irritable. They're acting out more so. It's causing conflict with their siblings within the family, perhaps with their friends. Also, it's causing a lot of having negative effects on mood. So kids are becoming more anxious, getting more depressed, and so forth, simply as a result of not getting the sleep that they should be getting.
Having more screen time due to online learning, how can that affect sleeping? Has that been an issue, do you think?
It's hard to say right now. Definitely just the exposure to screens in general, and especially once it's once it's occurring closer to bedtime, that does have a negative impact on sleep. So, kids becoming more physiologically as well as psychologically stimulated by whatever they're watching on the screen. So whether it be, something on Netflix, whether it be, an assignment that they're learning online, and they're becoming frustrated and they're getting anxious and worried about that. The other thing that is of consideration is the blue light exposure. So, screens emit a blue light, and that has the potential to affect one's circadian rhythm, their sleep-wake rhythm, and hence resulting in one not being able to sleep at the time they prefer. It tends to delay it towards a much later time.
Interesting, and we know children are likely now more than ever really to fall out of that sleep schedule with the way things are going. So how can parents help their children stay on track? What are some tips for parents?
I think the most important thing would be first, making sure that, just the regular good healthy stuff. So making sure that we have a well-rounded diet, that we're having regular exercise throughout the course of the day. I think the key thing is, as much as is possible, and I know it's a little bit difficult in the present times, trying to limit that screen exposure. So it's amazing that, I was just looking up some numbers just prior over the weekend, and, they say that for 15 to 18-year-olds, the CDC says that they spend close to 7.5 hours exposed to the screen. So the American Academy of Pediatrics recommends, up to just 2 hours. So, trying to limit that as much as possible. And again, it's hard just because, especially for a lot of teenagers, but a lot of kids in general, not only are they getting their schooling through the screen, but also that's how they socialize, web surfing, researching for homework, that type of thing. So, but as much as possible, trying to limit screen time.
Do you think it's important for kids to make sure that they have like a place to work and do school that's separate from their rooms or their beds, so that they kind of can differentiate the sleep from learning?
Most definitely. So sometimes if they're, if they're doing a lot of the learning within the room, and again, especially if they're becoming frustrated, some kids will associate their bedroom as a place of frustration, which can then interfere with their ability to fall asleep. So ideally, yes, trying to remove any screen exposure, but especially that associated with learning, online learning, taking that outside of the bed and bedroom.
Great. Is there anything that we haven't touched on that you want families to know or think about right now?
Not right offhand, no. I can't think of anything else.
Great. Yeah, you covered everything. That was really important information. Thank you so much for joining us to help out families during this, and we'll be right back.